well, let's do this thing. It's February.
Yes, it is.
And not only that, but we are literally within the first few days of February.
I feel pretty good.
So I'm feeling pretty good about things.
Yeah.
So we are, we're doing well. We're getting whiskey in glasses and into bottles. And more importantly, is I've got you locked down in here. So we're shooting video.
Yeah,
Like,
that's how you do it.
Hell or
Yeah.
high water, whether
That's
we're
right.
ready or not, we're doing it. So
You're making it good.
So cool thing on this guy is we haven't pre-sampled it at all.
Nope.
We've done a little bit of research again to remind ourselves about some stuff. But we're gonna talk through it a little bit together and talk to you a little about the history of where Baker's comes from. But we're gonna feature in February for our Society Pour Baker's 7 years, what they call it.
Yeah.
There's been some changes to it in general, but we're going to go a history of where this whiskey comes from. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you enjoyed last month's pour. Hopefully, if anything was damaged or not in your bottle, or you didn't receive something, please make sure you let us know, because the shipping was handed off to our buddy here with the instructions it just needs tape. He didn't quite hear any of that.
No.
And just mailed them off and then sent me the suggestion, you know what we should do is tape these things shut.
Yeah. That suggestion was never made, by the way, but I'm gonna trust it just because I think somebody needs a scapegoat. And,
Yeah, well, look, even if
I'll
not,
play that role.
Even if not, it seems to make common sense if you're going to ship illegally, you tape it shut. But we'll move past it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I didn't hear from anybody that they didn't get anything.
Yeah.
But I assure you, from now on, you will see that your tape's it's resealed again. So we're good to go. So,
Yes.
Anywho, we just came back from a week of little camping and crabbing. Had our Crab Fest 2023, and so we're high. We're ready to go. We're on a downward slope, or I should say an upward slope of get back to
a
work.
little tired, but
but
had a great time and looking forward to making this video and a little tasting.
Found a couple additional new interesting California bourbons while we were out there. So maybe we circle back around one day.
Absolutely.
So let's go to this month's pour, and that is. And also, what was I going to throw? No, never mind. Lie. It's a lie. To be continued teaser in the Fox and Pheasant video. So, Baker's is a product of
Jim Beam.
The Jim Beam Corporation. They run a series of 4 bourbons that are part of their small batch collection. Those are
Booker's.
Baker's, we're gonna go by proof. Yeah,
but
Baker's.
Little Book too, right?
No.
Little Book's not part of that?
No, that's Fred Noe, and that's like a group, but it's not part of the small batch collection. So, but it goes Booker's, Baker's, like highest proof, because that Booker's is barrel proof.
Okay.
Then you got Baker's, which is cut down to 107. Then you've got Knob Creek.
Oh, that's right, Knob Creek.
And Knob Creek's truly usually around a 90.
A lot of their stuff they've been putting out.
They have some different stuff. I'm just talking about Knob Creek.
Yeah, Knob Creek.
And then you've got Basil Hayden's, which is part of that group, which is their lowest proof.
Yeah, that's interesting.
80 proof.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's part of their small batch collection.
Well, Knob Creek's a way bigger
absolutely.
production.
Well,
than
and
that.
actually, regular Knob Creek 9 years 100.
Yeah.
So maybe all theirs are 100 or more. I'd have to go back and fact check that.
Oh, all the
Knob Creek.
Knob Creek. I can't tell you, and I don't think I have a loose bottle of it.
But they've ramped up the Knob Creek production.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of different bottles out there now that are pretty interesting and all pretty high proof.
So this guy's interesting because they call it Baker 7. 7 is just the minimum that it can be to go in this.
Yeah.
But and up until 2019, they were still blending those. It was like 200 barrels blended together, and that's what they're doing. This is now a single barrel program. So now your actual barrel number and the proof and age are all going to be included on the actual label. So this guy is 8 years, 2 months. And bottle date was 12/2011. Or was that the barrel date? Or date barreled is 12/2011. So this single one is, again, a cut to 107 proof, but pretty cool the fact that it's a fairly affordable, fairly available 8-year-old pedigreed bourbon.
Yeah.
So named after Baker Beam, the grandnephew of Jim Beam. Must be nice to get your own bourbon label when you're grandnephew. But he actually literally worked at the distillery for
Yeah.
like 30 years. He was a common laborer and worked his way all the way up to distiller. And his big thing, and this was named after him, his namesake, because his brand of liquor was a medium-bodied, slightly higher proof, smooth finishing bourbon was his profile. And that's why he made Baker's. So it is 77% corn, so a high corn percentage, which gives you some of that sweetness and the nuttiness that you can kind of get from a lot of the bean products. Then it was 13%. Let me do the math right. Yeah, 77, 17, 13, and 10. So 13% then malted barley. I'm sorry, 13% rye, 10% malted barley. That's right. So high corn, a little bit of peppery rye finish, I would imagine, based off the mash bill. But something that for the affordability, probably going to find this guy around $65 or so in that ballpark for you when you can find it. But really a very traditional feeling front end bourbon with vanilla, and you get some caramel. On the back end, you're gonna get some tobacco, and you're gonna get some spicy oak with some white pepper from the rye. But one of the things in the middle body is there's some cherry and orange supposedly. So that's what we'll kind of look for when we're going through this guy. So
Well, it's single barrel too, so each barrel is going to be a little slightly different variation. But interesting that you can go online and you can look up. There's the serial numbers on there. They've got the warehouse numbers, and you can kind of go through and see which rick house it's in. And so if you get a bottle and you like it, you could potentially find similar juice by just kind of looking at where the barrels are in the rick house. So probably in the clusters of where they're at. Now those particular barrels will taste very similar.
yeah, if you're ever looking at a lot of bourbon groups or people who trade bottles, what rick house it was in and what's the actual number or letter matters a lot in trade value, because you just people and it start to really get into, this is my favorite thing, but I really like it from Warehouse G, or I really like it from, Rick House 32, or whatever the thing is for the distillery. But that's an important thing for you to start to learn and pay attention to, especially as you start drinking the same bottle multiple times and comparing side by side single barrels. So let's give this guy a little whirl. I'm excited to get into the beam world. I think we did a Basil Hayden's.
We did
toast at one point
Mm.
for one of the groups, but I think that was it.
Definitely get vanilla.
Yeah, vanilla, and there's some of that salted peanut kind of thing up front, and that's again very nuttiness is a very common thread to a lot of bean products. I get that in a lot of Knob Creek as well. You get some of that kind of nuttiness from the grain. It's probably just the type of corn or what the corn is that they use, or the high percentage of corn. Smells good though.
Yeah, it smells delicious.
It's not, for being 107 proof, which isn't crazy, but look, it's higher.
I don't get a lot of ethanol.
Not a lot of ethanol, not a lot of alcohol.
Mm-mm.
I get a little bit now of that,
But the initial.
it almost turns a little bit more cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give it a whirl. Lots of maraschino cherry.
Definitely a lot of cherry.
As my mouth dries out, get some oak.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely get a little bit of the spiced oak.
You get a little nuttiness too.
Little touch of heat on the back of the throat, through the nose.
Yeah.
I'm getting that rye
Got a little
spice.
hug. Yeah.
That rye spice kind of hug, which makes it nice. Especially, it's a cooler evening. We got the window cracked right there. It feels nice in here. It's comforting. It's kind of like I think I could sit in here for a little while and read a book or something.
Yeah.
It's got that kind of,
Or shoot a video.
or shoot a video. That's definitely something we need to do. it's almost becoming a little more astringent on the nose. So a little bit more of that alcohol, almost of rubbing alcohol,
I'm getting it now.
coming through now that it's sitting there for a second. I would imagine as it sits and that is able to evaporate out, that will also dissipate.
Yeah.
And that's when you might get some more of that tobacco leather kind of finish. It's crazy. I feel like there is a little warming pad on my chest right now.
Yeah.
It just keeps going.
It does.
Yeah. And not in
Not in a,
a hot
burny-
way.
No,
Not in a hot
just
way.
like kind of a warm blanket, like
Mhm.
a heated, like a little warm heater pad or the heat pad. It's good.
Yeah. Ethanol for me, already gone.
Yeah.
And it's gotten a real sweet cherry finish now.
Mm-hmm.
Not getting much of the orange or citrus that is a common
I'm
descriptor.
not getting any cinnamon
Citrus.
either. I thought I'd read something about some cinnamon, but
That's again, depending on how that rye spice is coming through. I'm getting a little bit more of a white pepper heat versus a cinnamon.
although from barrel to barrel, maybe you will.
That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
this is just this bottle, but really a nice pour, especially if you're in that normal $30 to $40 range is what you buy. This is kind of more of a special treat. I'm going to go to 60, 65. You don't have to go hunt. The secondary price isn't going to be marked up dramatically. It's going to be the real price, but you can up your proof. You can keep a really drinkable profile.
Yeah, for the proof, it's really smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, my opinion is that it's really smooth for the
Well,
proof.
and it makes sense to me because when
107 proof.
I think about, remember, the one of the things that we talk about when we try those different Bookers is
Yeah.
for being literally, we remove the wood chips and that's about it.
Yeah.
And the heat factor on that guy could potentially be off the charts. For some reason, it's not.
It was shockingly smooth for
Yeah.
the proof and the fact it's unfiltered and just all the things that go with Bookers.
Yeah, and this is
But this is another byproduct of
Yeah.
of that type of distilling and,
Nice.
and
I'm telling you, it's turning more like a black walnut, like a bitter walnut kind of oil. I think about like walnut bitters, like
Yeah.
black walnut bitters, and like when I add that to certain things, I get this kind of rich bitterness on the back end.
you still get a little nuttiness, which is good. Which I don't mind that.
Like peanut or like
Yeah,
that's what I was saying.
like a little peanut
Yeah.
kind of nutty, almost like the Virginia peanuts.
Yeah.
That's what comes to mind.
By the way, I don't think we mentioned this.
I don't think we have.
I don't think we have. We have definitely found certain mash bills, certain types of whiskey that we like that have a nuttiness or a salty. Of course, we got helicopter flying over our neighborhood with the window
Well,
cracked.
interesting. Last night, actually, I had some Knob Creek, and I had put some Virginia peanuts into
Yeah.
that, and just let it soak.
Yeah, so that's what we're. So
Yeah.
we've found that there's certain ones where we add 3 or 4 peanuts into our actual sipping glass there, and it adds a salinity and a brininess to it because of the salt off the peanut.
Yeah.
But man, when you finish and
A
you
pretty
eat those
scrumptious
peanuts,
snack at the end too,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. It's
a little bourbon soaked peanut
Yeah,
is
yeah. It
apparently.
sounds weird, but it's if you like peanuts.
If you're
it's-
from the South, you grew up with people who threw peanuts in their Coca-Cola, in their Coke or Pepsi. But you take your Coke and Pepsi and throw salted peanuts in it, and that is a very common thing in the South.
Yeah.
So the idea of doing it in your bourbon, I don't think is crazy at all. But it is delicious. But this, again, I started with a salted peanut. It's kind of turning more into a walnut for me, but it is definitely got that Jim Beam nuttiness. I mean, it's just crazy when there's just things that have been sitting on our shelves for a while and we
Yeah.
haven't revisited.
Well, and I know we've tried it before.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously we've tried it, but I just didn't remember how tasty it was.
So I will tell you, I remember when I bought this, and I remember early on in this journey when we were first exploring newer bourbons. I brought this over and we sat on your patio furniture out by the pool one night, and we were throwing pigs.
Yeah.
And you texted a picture of this to a brother-in-law or somebody, or an uncle or something, when we said this is what we're drinking right now.
Yeah,
but this was one of the early bottles that you had.
That's
that
true.
Wasn't like a mainstream.
Yeah, it was this and Rare Breed. Those were the two.
That I don't remember.
I remember the Rare Breed too.
Yeah.
We sat out there and because that one was a 113 or 116 or something. It was a little higher proof, but we had done that a few times. It was fun.
So, in my opinion, give it 5 minutes in your glass.
Yeah.
Like, let that ethanol alcohol piece kind of burn out and evaporate out. That was the only part of the whole sip that I was like, nah, I'm not feeling this quite as much. Once it was gone, that cherry and that walnut kind of takes over. It's very, very smooth on the finish.
I would recommend it and recommend drinking it neat, but it would be interesting to see what a cube does.
Yeah.
And if it's a little, for some of you, you know, it could be a little hotter.
Yeah.
Because it is 107. I mean, our palates at this point, you know, 107 is not going to blow us out of the water. But if you're getting just used to high proof bourbons or just American whiskeys in general, it could use a cube potentially to soften it up a little bit. But.
Yeah, but it's a great word because I do feel the age on this helps soften it a lot. It's a pretty soft 107.
Yeah.
Really, really nice finish. I mean, it doesn't leave an aftertaste or any kind of. I mean, it just starts to taste. We've also been watching some football games. But believe it or not, we don't just like sit around and drink bourbon all day. You know, so when we sip small amounts, and we're trying to taste things. But when we do want to have some bourbon or a drink, and we're watching a football game, it's nice to put some bourbon on ice and throw some cheerwine on it.
Oh yeah.
And this profile tastes somewhat like you added a little bit of cheerwine to your whiskey because there's a strong cherry sweetness on the finish. So it's one of the reasons that we probably are feeling it a little bit. So
yeah.
Which
is surprising because we just came back from camping.
for sure.
Had a few pours.
Yeah, we did. Or a couple bottles.
Yeah.
So guys, listen. We hope you enjoy Baker 7 and your I think for this group, your first real introduction. I think there was Basil Hayden's Toast. I sort of count that one. Just a weird mash bill. That one's done with rice too. Remember?
Yeah, that was.
So an interesting profile, but this gives you a little bit something higher up in the Jim Beam small batch collection series.
And really, society members, I mean, we're treating you pretty well
the last
several pours because typically these are more Fox and Pheasant type pours.
Yeah, it's kind of a tweener.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a tweener, but look, when we have the right bottle and we're gonna send it out, and I just feel like it's time. We haven't gotten into that family tree very much with this group.
I will say though, if you're interested in bottles that you've never tried and you're a society member, and there's things that interest you, put it in the comments or send us a note or an email or something. Hit us up and let us know because you know we curate the bottles based upon things that we like, but then also things that we want to share with all of you.
Things that sometimes we can get our hands on.
Yeah, but there might be some bottles that interest you that we may overlook at times just because we kind of have a profile that we look at. But if there's some things that, you know, are out there that you've been yearning to try, let us know.
And want to get our opinion on, maybe a little bit more history on.
And maybe it'd be fun for us too to revisit something that we haven't had in a long time.
Yeah.
We had actually talked about, you know, Wild Turkey 101 a while back.
Some Kentucky Dale?
Kentucky Dale. I mean, we've seen some bottles out there where it's like, I don't think I've had that in, 20 years.
Well, we found an old label just yesterday coming back through the hills.
Yeah.
And,
I was tempted to buy it just for fun, and I kind of regret not doing it.
I told you would.
Yeah.
A 4-year Heaven Hill product called Kentucky Dale.
Kentucky Dale.
That was 80 proof, right?
It was a lower proofer, but Yeah.
Who knows?
Interesting. Yeah.
So guys, all right, enough about other bourbons. Enjoy
Yes.
your Baker 7.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys. Let us know if there's something you'd like to try. Meanwhile, we'll be back on the road and finding something else for you guys to drink next month. We're looking forward to it. So
Yeah,
enjoy.
absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. Good to be back in
Yes,
HQ.
good to be back.
All right.